Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sabrina Kofer, and on behalf of Choice and ACRL, I'd like to welcome you to today's program, Gen AI, Navigating Changes to the Scholarly Literature Research Process, which is sponsored by Elsevier. This session is one in a series of sponsored webinars from Choice and ACRL that addresses new ideas and developments of interest to the academic library community. I'll just put a couple links in the chat where you can register for upcoming webinars and watch previous webinar recordings. Also, if you're interested in library technology, LibTech Insights, or LTI, is a content vertical from Choice that examines the day-to-day impact of library and education technology on academic librarians, faculty, and other higher education stakeholders. The channel provides practical guidance on technology trends and products as they relate to productivity, accessibility, content management, and more. And you can find out more about LTI and sign up for the newsletter via the links in the chat. Okay, so before we get started, I'd like to point out just a few features of the webinar software. All attendees who join the presentation are automatically muted and your cameras are off, so don't worry about generating any noise or feedback. We've got that taken care of for you. In the main area of the screen, you can follow along with the presentation materials. To adjust the size of the slides or video, you can use the divider in the middle of the screen to slide the sizes to your liking. We are using the Q&A feature today. Please use it to ask questions, or to share any comments. We'll answer as many questions as we have time for at the end of the presentation, so please do type your questions into the Q&A module as they occur to you. You can also use the upvote feature to highlight questions you like or would like to be addressed. We do anticipate many questions, so if we don't get to yours, we apologize for that, but we'll do our best to answer as many as we have time for. Also, there is closed captioning available for today's session. To toggle the automated captions on or off, please use the CC button on the bottom panel of your screen. Last, please note that we are recording today's program, and everyone who registered should receive a follow-up email with a link to the archive version. And with that, we are ready to get started, so I will hand it over to Emily.
Great. Thank you so much, Sabrina. And it's so great to be here. Welcome, everyone. Good to see all of you with us today. So I'm Emily Singley. I'm the Vice President of North American Library Relations at Elsevier. And I'm here with a couple of my colleagues, and we are delighted to be able to share some of the work we're doing at Elsevier around generative AI. So if you could advance to the next slide, please. I am here with Lingni Zhou, who is one of our ScienceDirect product managers, and also with Pam Vitu, who is from our Library Connect Academy team. And if you can advance to the next slide. We're going to be starting off with Pam, who's going to tell us a little bit about a new generative AI training and literacy program that the Library Connect Academy team has developed that is built by and for librarians. So we're very excited about that. And then Lingni is going to share some of the work that her team is doing around generative AI experimentation in our ScienceDirect platform. And then I'm going to close this out by giving some updates on Scopus AI, including our new emerging themes feature, which helps Scopus users find new areas of research to explore. And as Sabrina mentioned, we will close with Q&A. Please do put any of your questions as they occur to you into the Q&A at any time. And with that, I will go ahead and hand over to Pam to get us started.
Thank you, Emily. Hello, everyone. I'm Pam. I'm here today from Elsevier's Customer Engagement Marketing team to share something with you that's near and dear to my heart, our new GenAI literacy program. Before I kick off the first slide of my presentation, I have a quick one-question survey for you. Which aspect of generative AI literacy are you most interested in learning about? If you could just pick the choice that most aligns with your thoughts, that would be great. If you have something completely different to share, you could add it to the chat. And we'll just leave this open for about 30 seconds or so for everybody to have an opportunity to weigh in. Thanks. And I promise I will get back to this later in the chat. Okay, so it looks like we have a clear winner here. Practical application in the libraries by a whopping 58%, and sort of ethical and evaluation are almost tied for number 2. Perfect. Thanks, everyone. I'll now dive in here. So generative AI has been in the headlines quite a lot, and it's not likely to change anytime soon. Whoops, I went one too far. Until fairly recently, uh, discussions about the power of artificial intelligence were far more speculative in nature. But now we have an urgent need to protect groups and individuals from harm being done by these systems. So with the great power of these tools comes great responsibility. And that's why we created the GenAI Literacy Program for librarians. The program consists of 3 courses. Each is free, open, self-paced, and you should plan about 2 hours to complete each course. All 3 are hosted on Elsevier's Canvas instance. Many of you are likely already quite familiar with the Canvas LMS. And during the next 10 minutes or so, I'll move through a high-level view of the program to take a closer look at each of the courses and what went into them. You may notice that I sort of sneakily added the survey question to this slide, and I promise I'll get back to it again later in the session as well. So the first course, the Foundations of AI, launched on October 28th. We've already had well over 1,200 registrants through the course, so we're very pleased with the level of activity we see so far. This course guides learners through a non-technical explanation of key generative AI tools and technologies. The images on the slide are collage sort of intended to give you a sense of topics. So you'll see everything from vector search through what RAG, a little bit of still image from the How LLMs Are Trained video. And the content does include helpful diagrams and videos, which are created in an accessible, uniform manner by our creative services team. So we adopt a theory and practice approach using Scopus AI as an applied example. This way, anyone that's taking the course sort of has an opportunity to unpack how the tools and technologies which are presented are leveraged in a search and discovery Gen AI tool such as Scopus AI. And also please note that the focus of the subsequent courses in the program, benefits and risks of AI and responsible AI, are introduced in the foundations course. And anytime there's a topic in more than one of the courses, we have a helpful link so you can sort of create a learning path as you go. Our middle child is the benefits and risks of AI course. This is where you're going to find a deeper dive into bias and hallucinations. We take a closer look at the origin of bias and at some of the different types of hallucinations and what causes them. You'll also find a lot of content on potential opportunities for academic librarians in the age of Gen AI. Key takeaways here include a breakdown of benefits of Gen AI across different roles, such as faculty, students, and librarians. And please note, we draw on examples outside Elsevier. As you see on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, we use current examples taken from different institutions. And the program culminates with the Responsible AI course. And I use the word culminate not just because it's the 3rd course in the sequence, but because this is where you find such a rich collection of applied content. Learners leave the course with a more advanced understanding of responsible AI principles and how these principles are applied to a generative AI tool, again, using Scopus AI as an example. So the course will go beyond the Elsevier's 5 responsible AI principles. We look at some other frameworks available widely available and used by other institutions. And there's a lot of helpful little diagrams and links to some great work being done by other organizations and groups. So we hope that you'll take a close look at this one as well. Now, I wanted to spend just a moment sort of stepping back and talking about the little bit of the backstory about creating the program. I realize that everyone out there has many options for learning about Gen AI. What distinguishes this program is that we have content designed by librarians for librarians. We have contributions made by Elsevier employed librarians such as Emily Singley. We also work with external librarians, well, external to us in Elsevier, such as Dr. Leo Lowe, ACRL president, who served as our subject matter expert reviewer. I'm going to ask Emily now to come off mute and share a few words about the video content she created for the Foundations of AI course.
Yeah, thanks, Pam, and thanks for asking me to create some videos. It was a ton of fun to work with you and to work with the team and to think about what I wanted to share. So Pam approached me and kind of asked, what do you think librarians are interested in? And I thought, from my own library background, what would I be interested in a course like this? And I put together a couple of videos. One, you've got the screenshot here from search to synthesis. Kind of what do these new RAG search tools mean for libraries, and how does it work in the evolution of search, kind of writ large, sort of thinking through that. And the different changes we've undergone as libraries in the past, and how this adds a new element to search and discovery. So that was fun to put together. And then the other one I can't remember the exact title, but it was kind of, what is an LLM? What is a large language model and how does it work? And that was super fun too, just kind of really a basic background of sort of how to think, how I think about it, how I think librarians can think about how LLMs work, and how they're put together. So yeah, super fun to do.
Thanks so much, Emily. And I think everyone can tell we're a close-knit team here, and having that level of collaboration is what makes all the difference. So thanks. I wanted to also talk a little bit about some of the extras that we have embedded into the courses. So to continue your exploration on the topics that are presented, we offer further resources and references and a glossary of technical terms used. We define successful course completion as earning a grade of 80% on a final 10-question quiz. After doing so, you will earn a certificate and a badge, and these are shareable on social media, as you see here. And hint, hint, we really love when these are shared, so I hope you'll consider doing so. Lastly, we also include surveys to help us better understand learners' expectations and how our program are aligning with needs. This presentation opened up with a survey question taken directly from the course. And interestingly enough, and maybe not so surprisingly, same results as we're seeing in the course, with the practical application in libraries being the #1 aspect of generative AI literacy that's of greatest interest, with ethical considerations and evaluation of AI tools kind of neck and neck. So I'm grateful for everyone for sharing what you feel, and we're seeing this again with the program as well. So speaking of the surveys, at this point, I'm going to sort of take you, let you in behind the velvet rope and share what we're seeing with the Foundations of AI course, because this is the one, because it was launched first, we have the most data. Learners that have gone through the course are reporting a 4.3 out of 5 when asked how well the course aligns to their learning needs and expectations. And when asked how likely they are to apply course learnings to Gen AI in their work in the next 6 months, the response is a 4.2 out of 5. We also allow room for anecdotal responses, sort of free form in our survey, and I've shared 2 of them here. I realize the font is quite small on the slide. I apologize. Um, the first learner is responded says that they participated in other courses before this, but they still found new knowledge that they hadn't encountered before. We were very encouraged by this. The second learner shared their plans to apply what they learned in the course um, when teaching about the benefits and limitations of Gen AI to their students. So again, we're seeing that applied nature in what in the survey responses. And I also included a quote from Dr. Lowe after he completed his review of our courses, where he's talking about the value of the responsible AI principles specifically, and how it's very helpful for broader implications for scholarly communication and research integrity. So I will leave you today with your invitation. I hope that you are ready, willing, and able to begin your Gen AI literacy learning journey. And remember, it's a free trip. These are open and freely available courses. You can use the QR code here, and I'll also share the website where you can find your link to sign up in the chat after I'm done. Thank you so much for your time today. I'll now hand over to my colleague, Lindsay.
Thank you so much, Pam. It looks like there's a lot of very interesting content in the course. So today I'm going to spend some time and sharing with you some of the features we're experimenting on ScienceDirect using generative AI. As a product team, our principle is really to first look at user problems and then adopt the latest technology to help them solve that problem. So when we look at our end user base, the biggest group of our users are researchers, and we know one of their main challenges is to find out what is already known with very limited time. If we look at the journey they might take in that literature review process, you could say, they start with discovery. So you use a few keywords to search, find a number of articles, and they decide which ones are the most relevant, and then they go and read those articles thoroughly, and then they start to organize that information, trying to do some comparison, and then maybe then they are able to form a more coherent view about that particular research topic, and then they might document all this information so they can come back later to double check or to cite these articles when they are writing. So that seems like a very straightforward process, but in practice, we realize, especially when you talk to researchers, maybe that's actually not what happened. What actually happens is all these different steps may happen simultaneously, or sometimes you do a bit of back and forth. For example, when I come to a new topic, research topic that I'm not so familiar with, I might start with a few keywords and then find a number of articles and then read a few of them, and then realize maybe I missed a very important aspect of the research topic. So we go back to the initial stage of discovery. And in the meantime, you might open the spreadsheet trying to note down some of the key information of each research so you can compare later. Or when you're reading an article on ScienceDirect, you want to export it to reference manager, for example, Mendeley. So you can see, if you imagine that process, there are a lot of steps taken, but a lot of tools involved, but never a linear process. So it's a bit messy and less efficient. And that's how we form our vision about the Gen AI features we're going to develop. So we really hope we can create a more integrated experience across these steps to help researchers find out the latest research as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, to improve their effectiveness and efficiency. So today I'm going to share 3 features we've been working on with you. And I'm not saying that we've covered all these steps and we're able to help researchers realize all these steps you see on the screen on one platform just yet, but our ambition is definitely to continue to look into how we can bring that experience more seamless to help researchers save time. So the first feature I'm sharing with you is called search and summary. So like a lot of the GenAI tools, you have, say, a chat box in the middle, and you can enter a question with your own language, and it gives you a summary answer to that particular question. And we also show the source snippet, so you can go and validate if the actual summary is accurate or if you want to read the actual human written text. And we also link out to the actual article so you can have a close look. And we also offer further insights into the references that were returned to answer your particular question. So I have to mention, as I said, we continue to experiment, and so this slide was built last week, but the look of this particular part is already different. I will do a live demo to show you how it looks like in a minute. The second feature is called Reading Assistant. So this is really to allow you to interrogate an individual article with whatever questions you want to ask about that particular article. Again, I will show you how it works. The third feature, we call it compare publications. So if you remember the first feature, when you search and get summary, there are a number of references that were returned, and we use all the references and extract all the experiments that are mentioned in those references and the form of tabular view as you see on the screen. So you have all the different articles here and what are the experiments from that particular article. And at the moment we give them, so it's a fixed table. So we have experiment. I don't know if you can see it clearly, but we have the name of experiment, the goal, methods, materials, and results, and so on. Our ambition is definitely to allow users to be able to add components of research they would like in the future. So we're actively looking to how to do that. Now I'm going to switch to my web browser to show you the how actually it works in real life. And so do keep an eye out for these things that I've listed on the screen. So let me share. So here is the search and summary tool, as I mentioned, and the URL is also very easy to remember. So if, say, I have a question about molecular pathways that are related to autism. This is a question I tried out earlier on today, and I want to get an answer to it. So here is the summary answer to that particular question. I also want to quickly show you how the tool comes as to the summary. So basically we follow the retrieval augmented generation process to make sure that we don't introduce hallucination, for example. So we search for the most relevant content and then use GenAI to finalize the summary. So this is a summary answer, and you can see in each paragraph of the summary, you can go to the actual human written content that was used to generate that summary. And again, as I mentioned earlier, you can go to the actual article to have a look. And I'll show you that in a minute. So in the bottom, you can see we have reference for summary. So these are references that are used to generate the summary here. But we also have another section called related insights. So these are the returned references that are still very relevant to the question you asked, but the tool decides, okay, top 4 already are enough to generate answers. So we're not going to use that, the rest of reference here, but still list here. So if you want to have a look at these articles, you can do. So let's go to the article we were interested in. So I'm very interested in this particular article, and I want to, and sometimes of course depends on the source of the full text. It can be article, it can be a book chapter. This one happens to be an article. So if I go to the article page, you can see that reading assistant appears. So this sits on the individual article page on ScienceDirect. And the question we asked in the search and summary tool was carried over, and the same question is used to ask this particular article. But because this is just this one article, so you get a slightly or maybe quite different answer out of it. And we can continue to ask questions here. So if I want to know what else is discussed in this article about MTOR signaling way, and if you have a typo, that's completely fine. It will rectify itself. And then we get another answer about MTOR signal pathway. If you want, again, if you want to double check if the summary is accurate, or if you just want to know about this particular piece of the summary, you can click on the reference and it will lead you to the actual text in the article. So that's how you use Reading Assistant, and you can land on Reading Assistant from any article with the feature. So if you happen to be on the article on ScienceDirect, you should see this button here, and then if you click on it, then it leads you to, again, this chat box, and you can ask your question here. So the other tool, the other feature I mentioned, unfortunately, it has been working completely fine, but today it's not just actually just now it's not working for me. So the compare publications are here. I have to say it's at the moment a working prototype, so we still need to put into production. That's probably why it's less stable, but I already showed you how it looked like when it's working. So I'm not going to click on this, but as I mentioned, it really is to generate a tabular format of all the experiments that happened in all these research you're seeing. Right, now I'm going to move back to the slide. So I do just have one last slide to share with you, and then I'll hand over. So we released a testing version back in June, and since then we've been working with a number of research institutes and a small number of corporate customers. And so we asked them to test the tool and tell us what they think, what is good, what is not good, where we need improvement. Along the way, we collect their feedback, and also we run a survey next to it. So this is some of the feedback we've gathered over time. I think there are a few themes here. The most obvious one is, of course, it does seem it saves researchers time. So, for example, one student said, I don't have to go through the paper to find relevant paragraphs. It's already done that for you, so it does save time for me. And the second theme is really, it helps you to evaluate a paper quickly because it shows the most relevant part of the paper that you're interested in, and you have a read and you decide, okay, if there's something for me or I should look at the next one. And the third theme is it looks like the summary is actually quite easy to understand. It explains acronyms. So if you're a student, you need to research a topic, there is some extra value to it. Okay, I think that's everything from me. Now I'm going to hand over to Emily to give us update on Scopus AI.
Great, thanks, Lingni. That was really informative and exciting to see all the work coming along in ScienceDirect. So I'm going to be talking about Scopus AI, and you may already be familiar with Scopus, which is a large ANI abstracting and indexing database that contains over 90 million abstracts across all content providers, not just Elsevier. But what is Scopus AI? Scopus AI is an add-on to Scopus that allows users to use GenAI features. And Scopus AI launched in January of this year. So by GenAI terms, it's like a mature, it's one of the more mature products out there right now. If you can believe that, it's been a year almost that Scopus AI has been out. So today I'm really going to be focusing in on something we call emerging themes, which is a new feature in Scopus AI. And I'll go into a live demo as well in just a second. I wanted to show this slide to just kind of give an overview of some of the things you'll see in Scopus AI. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail in my demo on all of the different core features, since we actually had another choice webinar earlier this year where we demoed kind of the core Scopus AI features. So we'll be sure to put that link into the chat so you can go back and watch that as well. So let's see here. I'm going to go straight to the demo. Now I've got my screenshots here as a backup in case this doesn't work. So let's just see what we can do. Sharing. Okay. So hopefully you can see my screen. And what you see here is this is just Scopus, classic Scopus. And if you're familiar with Scopus, it should look familiar. Over here on this tab to the right, you'll see Scopus AI. So we've been very careful to maintain Scopus Classic. Nothing's changed there. You can still do everything that you are used to doing in Scopus. And we find that people do like to go back and forth between these two interfaces. The Scopus AI interface is similar to what Lingley showed, kind of that classic natural language search box. So you can just type in your search. Let's see what happens. We'll say, what is the impact of GenAI in undergraduate education? And we'll wait a couple of seconds. See if my demo link is working. Yes, it is. It is generating. And one of the newest features in Scopus AI that came out pretty recently is this Copilot steps showing its work, which I absolutely love. And once it comes back with the summary of the search, it kind of it hides that. So I'm just going to open it up again so you can see it, because I really like this. It's kind of adding another layer of transparency to the tool. And you can see that what it did was it performed a natural language search in the database, in the normal Scopus database. And then it performed a keyword search. And you can see all of the expansions and additions of keywords and synonyms here. So I just put Gen AI. I didn't even take the time to spell it out, but it spelled it out in both of these searches. It also took my undergraduate education and expanded it out to things like higher ed, college ed, post-secondary. Also added tools like teaching, curriculum, assessment. So those are kind of the things you would do in a more sophisticated Scopus search, and it's doing that for you automatically. So that's kind of cool. And like I said, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on the core features, but you can see you've got that nice summary linking out to the references. The references are also over to the right here. And this is all based on a Scopus search and based on summarizing actual papers that it's crunched through. After the summary, you can see some of these other features. We've got the expanded summary if you want it to do more. a concept map is very popular, where we've got, kind of related fields and related topics, and you can kind of navigate through from there if you wanted to. And what I want to focus on really mostly today is the emerging themes. So this is very, very new, and we'll see if it works. It's in beta right now. Emerging themes is about helping users find new and emerging areas of research. So think like you're about to do your choose your PhD dissertation topic, right? What should you write about? Where are the gaps? What's new? What's out there that hasn't really been written about a lot? So that's what we're trying to get at with the emerging themes. So let's see what kind of emerging themes on my topic that I typed in are out there. Give it a minute here. And we've got a few things out there. So the way this works is it is grouping. It takes a look at the last 2 years of the papers, and it looks and compares and contrasts year 1 to year 2, and looks at patterns and themes that emerge from the different topic areas. And it ranks them here in different categories. The first one is consistent theme. So you can see it says, oh, there's something that's pretty much the same year over year. It's consistent. This is probably pretty well covered, right? We've got a couple of consistent themes that came back. Student perceptions and adoption of Gen AI is a consistent theme. Ethical considerations is a consistent theme. Oh, no, here we go. We've got a rising theme. So this is another one of our categories. Rising theme means, this is something that's kind of emerging. It's becoming of interest. And if this is something where you go, oh, okay, this is generative AI for personalized learning, this might be something I want to write about. And it actually suggests a couple of hypotheses that you might want to start from. And a bunch of different rising themes actually came up with this. And then if you get really lucky, there'll be something called a novel theme, which is the one where there's the least amount written about it, and the one where you may have the biggest gap in the field. So that's really all I wanted to share for the demo. So I'm going to stop sharing and go back to the slides. And since my demo actually worked, yay, I'm going to sort of skip over some of these since I had some screenshots and the slides are all going to be shared afterwards, so you can go through these yourself, and you'll be able to see some of these things that I showed on the screen. Yeah, and so here I'm just kind of sharing, similar to what Lingli did. We have surveyed researchers and worked with users on developing this tool. And this is why we developed emerging themes, right? As Lingli said, we don't develop things just for fun. We always do it because somebody has expressed a need. And in this case, we found that quite a few researchers are telling us identifying that next field of research is a challenge for them. And then, again, this is about emerging themes. You can see that this is the kind of the newest thing that we've been developing, clustering similar ideas together to understand that research landscape more broadly. And also, as I showed in the demo, identifying possible hypotheses. And again, this is more of our user survey data. 30% of respondents finding it difficult to identify trending topics. And then I have a couple of slides here just to talk a little bit about how emergent themes works. And it's called a vector calculation service. And as I was mentioning, it's scanning Scopus documents from the last 2 years and clustering them, right? And one of the important things to understand about this is that this isn't based on citation count. So unlike things like, the topic experts that we also feature in Scopus AI, this isn't about how many times your paper has been cited. It's about the relevancy of the topic in a vector graph. So that's how that's working. And this is sort of a visualization of that. You can see, again, we're looking like 2 years back, year 1, year 2, what changes, how are those patterns in the vector graph shifting, right, in terms of these topic clusters. And you've got that rising theme, consistent theme, novel theme. Output, kind of already showed this in the demo. You get that little summary, you get that hypothesis. Of course, you always get references back to the papers that it's been analyzing. And here's a little bit more information as well about that vector calculation, performing those 2 searches, right? Year 1, year 2, and selecting abstracts from those years, clustering them using vector similarity, and comparing those clusters. And this also gives good definition here of those different themes, those different categories that the emerging themes brings back. In my search, I didn't get a novel theme, but we got a consistent, we got a rising, and so that novel is, content of the theme is really low. This is a new theme. It's underserved by the current literature, right? And so this is a way that researchers can start to see where the gaps are, where they might want to be putting their energy. And I think this is my last slide. Emerging themes. I wanted to share a little bit more of this user feedback. Again, with the emerging themes feature, this is very, very, very new for us. So it's less than a month old, I think, right now. And we sort of debuted it at the Charleston conference. We've gotten a lot of really, really great feedback. You can see some quotes here from some of the users who have given us feedback. It's again, we developed it because people expressed a need, and it's nice to see once you develop something that they actually come back and say, yep, this is what I wanted, this is what I needed. And again, people really like that supporting evidence, being able to look back at papers. One person says it helped me in proposing variables. So that's what we're learning from our users about this. And I think we've got lots of time left for questions, so I'm going to wrap up there. And we'll take down the slides. Great. And if Pam and Lingni want to join me, and we can take a look at questions. I think we have a bunch in the Q&A already. So once again, as Sabrina said at the beginning, if you have a question, you can put it into the Q&A. You might need to go to more to see the Q&A functionality in Zoom. And one of the things we're doing with the Q&A is we have the upvote feature. So you should see a little thumbs up below every question. So I encourage you, we have quite a few questions. We have over 35 questions, and we have 15 minutes. So we're probably not going to get to all of them. So please help me out. I'm going to be moderating the questions. And go ahead and if you see a question you really want to have answered, give it a thumbs up, because I am going to sort these by upvotes and take a look at our questions. All right. Okay, so our first question is, what criteria does Scopus AI use to choose which articles to include in its summary? So if a topic has hundreds of articles written on it, does it choose most recent articles? Does it choose by citation count, etc.? Great question. And so this is bringing back papers by relevancy. So it's not based on citation count or whether a topic is popular, right? So it's very similar to what would happen in a regular Scopus search. If it's highly relevant to your topic, it's going to come back in the search. I will say, and I believe, I hope I'm not misspeaking, Scopus AI doesn't cover all of Scopus right now. So it's the last 10 years of Scopus content. So it's not the full corpus of Scopus. If you want to search the full Scopus corpus, you'd go to Scopus Classic still. but it's a relevancy ranking that's bringing back the top articles, and then it will choose those to write its summary. So hopefully that is helpful. And does anyone else have anything to add to that? Okay, great. Okay. Let's see. Our next one from Jason. When sourcing information for a research query using the AI tool, are sources derived strictly from the Elsevier universe of publications, or does it pull from other source networks like Semantic Scholar, for example? Another fantastic question. So I'm going to give this to Lingni in a minute, but from the Scopus side of things, Scopus covers all publishers. So, 90 million abstracts are in there. So it's not absolutely not just Elsevier. But I know Lingni ScienceDirect also has non-Elsevier content in it now. So maybe you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, so the majority of the content in the corpus for the AI features on ScienceDirect at the moment comes from ScienceDirect. So the content we publish or we publish for third parties. We do have content, a very small part content on ScienceDirect that is with a partnership with another publisher. So we would obviously license that content to use. And then the idea is to also use the CCBY content, but at the moment it's still a very small part. So we do want to eventually be able to cover all the quality content. That's the ambition, right, in the market, because I think the comprehensiveness of the corpus is very important. At the moment, it's mainly still ScienceDirect content, but the content includes both journal articles and book chapters.
Yeah, and I think it's important to add that I didn't know this before coming to work here is that ScienceDirect does have partnerships with these. Lingni mentioned the third parties, so we have other publisher content in ScienceDirect, which I had no idea until I came to work here. But it is mostly Elsevier at this point. Okay, so I'm going to refresh our upvotes here because they keep changing. All right. This is from Lacey. Given the environmental costs of generative AI processing, what is Elsevier doing to minimize the number of times the large language model is used? For example, are responses to natural language queries reused for similar queries? If an article has already been summarized once, do you store that summary and serve it to the next user who asks for a summary of that article rather than reprocessing it? Fantastic questions. These are all great questions. So I want to say a couple of things about this. Number one, Elsevier is very concerned about environment, and we are a 2030 goal company. We are trying to get to zero emissions by 2030. So this is a big deal for us, and we are very cognizant of this issue. And a couple of things. One of the things is that we don't use the large language model unless we need to, right? There's a lot of things that we can do with small language models, and we've been using small language models within our tools and our analytics tools for quite a while now. So it's something that we have a lot of expertise in. So for example, when I showed that little Copilot, it was showing its steps, crunching through your query, that wasn't using a large language model. It was using a small language model, which uses much, much less energy. You're not, using this massive thing that took tons of energy to create. So we're doing things like that, where we're just like, if we don't need to use the big model, we'll use a small one. We are not storing summaries or serving up the same summaries. We're very concerned about privacy. We're not sharing any of the queries or anything like that with the large language model. We're asking it to summarize and then not store, not keep. And yes, I love. I mean, I hadn't really thought about it that way, but you're right. It's like, well, by preserving privacy, we're sort of having to hit the LLM again. So really interesting. Anyone have something to add to that, Pam or Lingni?
Maybe from SD point of view, I will add something, and it's not something we are actually building already, but I don't know if people know we do have topic pages, right? So we do generate topics, again, not use LLM, but in the future, the idea of, so topics obviously are easy. Instead of a question, it's more just a topic or a concept, and there's less privacy issues involved. What we could do is actually, if a lot of people are asking the same question about same topic, then we can generate a database of topics. So then these topics will be reusable, so we don't have to generate every single time, and that can serve the purpose mentioned here. So that is thinking about that at the moment.
Yes, and I'll add that topic pages have been so topic pages are static, kind of like what the questioner said. It would be something that's static, that's not generated on the fly. And they've been in ScienceDirect and free to everyone, and open since something like 2017. So those were using machine learning to generate those, not LLMs, but just good old machine learning. And they are static and on ScienceDirect, and they're actually really cool because you don't need to be a ScienceDirect subscriber. So we see a ton of use of those pages. Okay, I'm gonna push again. Okay, so we've got 31 people have upvoted. Will the ScienceDirect AI be rolled out to all subscribers soon, or will institutions have to purchase, sign up as an add-on? And I'm gonna give this one to you, Lainey.
Yeah, so we're working on the final steps of the AI features. You can expect more communications after Christmas. It's not going to be automatically rolled out to all subscribers, so there will be an add-on fee to it, but the details will be shared in the new year.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that too, that everything Lingney shared is all, I mean, you guys are very lucky to see it because it's all experimental right now and none of it's live. So so you got a sneak preview here, but we're, shooting for after Christmas. Okay, great question. A lot of people interested in that. Another one from Amy, will the reading assistant generate the exact same summary every time for a given article?
So no, because I actually test myself several times. You do get a slight different summary, but the essence is usually the same. So I think that's when. I think there was another question I spotted early on. What GenAI tools we use to run these features. So on Reading Assistant, we actually use Claude 3.5 Sonic, and that's that's how 3.5 Sonnet is doing the work, right? You let it give you an answer. So it's not always the same, but the content more or less is consistent, I would say.
Okay. Great questions, everybody. Let's see. Next one in the upvote list here. From Kimberly, how do these tools support users' understanding of these articles? If they summarize for you, what are the new processes or steps researchers need to take to ensure they truly understand the research that is filtered through AI? Fantastic question. Langley, what do you think?
Yes, I think for us, as I mentioned during the presentation, we come from the place where we want to help researchers to save time, right? So the tool is there. I think it's and I think it's a shared responsibility between us, librarians, professors, to help, especially students when they're learning, what kind of process they should go through. Should they actually just take what it is from those tools, or should we help them to understand how to get the best value out of it, right? You can use it to save time, but it doesn't take away the necessity to actually read a very interesting article to really understand what is happening. So I think that is a shared responsibility. We're not saying just use this and forget about the rest. I don't think that's what we're proposing.
Yeah. And Pam, do you have anything to add to that too? Because I know you've been giving a lot of thought to AI literacy and how people learn about how to use these tools. And this is something that came up in a session I did at Charleston too, where we talked about use of AI tools by researchers and this concern of, gosh, are we all going to be, using it as a crutch and no one's going to learn how to read a paper anymore? And, all this kind of thing. And I think it really is a concern. So do you want to add anything to that, Pam?
Just that it is a huge concern. And I think that the courses that in the program sort of address this in terms of sharing Elsevier principles for authors and editors with the, geared towards the responsible use of Gen AI, what our policies are. And I know, I will note too, Emily, early on, I want to say it was earlier this year, which already seems like a decade ago, right? When your colleague Charlotte was conducting in-person Gen AI theme workshops in mature Europe, somebody that participated there was saying, "Hey, this. There's a lot of same best practices as there's always been. So you're not going to cut and paste from Gen AI and put it into a paper, just as you wouldn't from original research. So sometimes it's just going back to those core principles." And remembering that those aren't being lost along the way. They're just as core as they always were.
Yeah, yeah, that's similar to the kind of the discussion we had at the Charleston session too, where it's like, well, students have always cheated. Remember when I was a librarian, it was people would come up to you and say, I wrote my paper, but then I went back and I read the assignment and turns out I need 4 references. I need 4 references. I was like, no, it's not supposed, you're supposed to start with reading the literature and then write your paper. Um, but I do think this new world that we're entering into with Gen AI brings up a whole new set of information literacy concerns.
Mhm.
And the next question, I think we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more. The next question in the list here from Pamela is similar. What about basic critical thinking that is taught to community college students who are just learning basic research processes? Does this level of AI allow for students to learn basic critical thinking, or does it take out that early academic learning step? And I will say that one of the areas that is even more experimental than what Lingney is showing you is we're starting to think about an educational use for these tools that exactly gets at this idea. How do people learn how to read a research paper? How do people learn to understand what is a methods section? What is results, et cetera? Because that is absolutely part of becoming a scholar and a student. So any comments on that from either Lingney or you, Pam?
It's a great question. And I guess I would just answer that, I'm kind of an optimist at heart. So, I would like to think that in this case, the AI tool would allow for meeting the student at their point of need and addressing whatever level they're at to sort of take them to that next step. Similar to courseware sold at the question is for community college students, you might have those transition courses that maybe start with essay writing at the paragraph level or at the essay level, and addressing that level need may be an opportunity there. That's just my thought.
Yeah, great. Let's see if we only have a couple minutes left. I'm going to take one more question really quick. This is from Freya. Can the Scopus AI tool deal with a change in opinion throughout the years or new discoveries that render older views obsolete? I mean, without the reader referring to this. So taking the most mentioned conclusions, which might not be correct anymore. This is such a great idea. At this point, I don't know enough about the what the algorithm's actually doing to tell you exactly whether we're looking at this or not. But I will say that because Scopus AI right now is just looking at current research, um, it's less likely to come up with those kinds of issues. But that would be a fascinating thing to be able to do, because that is a concern, right? Of, maybe, something comes back that's been refuted or, debunked or something, and you would want to kind of be able to put a flag there and say, this has changed over time. Lingni, do you have any insight into how we're thinking about this particular issue?
No, not really. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm going to take this straight back to the product manager though, because I love this question, and I'm going to actually see, maybe run some test searches myself and for some things and see, if it shows that change in opinion over time in its summary. All right, we are bang on time right now, so I'm going to hand it back to Sabrina. Thank you to Lingni. Thank you to Pam. Great session. Great questions, everybody. And yeah, thanks so much. And again, slides and all sorts of resources will be in a follow-up email.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Emily. I'll just echo you and say thanks so much to Emily, Pam, and Lingni for taking the time to speak with us today. And thank you to our attendees for your great questions and comments. I'd like to remind our viewers that we did record today's program, so be on the lookout for a follow-up email from Choice and ACRL with a link to the recording and where to access today's slides, along with some resources. Also, if you have a few minutes after the presentation to fill out a brief survey, we would really appreciate it. So thanks again to all of you out there for joining us. We hope you learned something new from the webinar and hope to see you again soon on another session.